You're welcome.
So, so the conversation today is just like I wanted to have an idea of like creating the ecosystem where people, where entrepreneurs are able to discuss um, about different topics anyway, like because I've seen like in Africa in general and in Rwanda, uh, it is so important for people to come together and those real entrepreneurs to be able to share ideas, you know, and be able to see opportunities and be able to pass them through among the entrepreneurs, because there is a lot of noise around, and sometimes noise uh, makes entrepreneurs a little bit life a little bit harder for them to survive in environment where the people who have ideas, who have products doesn't go far. So I wanted to have a little bit
No, no, I
conversation
see.
with
I
you.
understand.
Yeah, because I strongly believe
Mhm.
that you are one of the entrepreneur I know for fact that that has done a lot of things. Maybe you can start by introducing yourself.
Okay, my name's Pacific Bukombe. I've created few companies. Introduce myself for the people to know me in terms of helping the ecosystem, helping entrepreneurs raise early stage funding. So, as a matter of fact, now I co-founded a company called Guardian Angels. So, what we basically do, we are an angel investment company. Uh, though we call ourselves a startup. So what you're trying to do, we're trying to be the middleman of, or trying to be a continental platform for people with ideas or what we call the proven entrepreneurs and who really need funding, and then also try to bring up to create a community of angel investors. So apart from that, I'm a little bit known in a tech ecosystem where I've been the community and business manager for almost 3 years in a knowledge lab, K Lab. After that, I co-founded other two more companies that are specifically into media, and then another on public relations and communication. And what we do basically, it's we target small and medium businesses to help them really communicate and convey messages depending on the platform they're interested at. So I think that's how I little bit introduce myself, and that's me, Pacifico Bukombe. You are on mute. You're on mute.
Sorry. I thank you for your good introductions. The first time I met with you was when we were working for Caleb. I remember
Yeah,
that
sure, sure, yeah.
that was the time when the entrepreneurship was booming. Like every young Rwandan was having a dream to create a company at the time. I remember like there was a joke when you meet with a young Rwandan and you ask him like, "Do you have a company?" And there is a high chance that this person has a company. And I've seen myself that that attitude, that dreams really vanished from people seeing that it's possible to the point where people see that it is almost impossible to even have a company. So, what do you think about that?
Having a company in Rwanda is still easier. That's why so many people were really obsessed of owning companies. And you'd really find there was a challenge where people are trying to do the same thing rather than co-founding one strong company. And you find there was too much competition and too little product or services offering to the marketplace. So I don't think there is nothing wrong really with everyone trying to how to own a company, which is our ecosystem really. When you're creating a company in Rwanda, it's so easier. Just in 6 months you have a company. So it's good that people try it out and then understand what it takes to build a successful operating company that has employees, that has a product or a service that is on the marketplace. So when we have so many people that have tried to do that and fail, at least now I think it's a value of an entrepreneur, the people that have been keeping consistent in building products or in building their companies. So when everybody tries to do that and eventually they fail, so those that remain in the game really tend to be respected. So that's, I think that's my take on that.
Yes, yeah, I agree with you on that side. So I was thinking maybe, when you see the numbers of people who tried and failed, and some of them, by the way, having the good products, and I couldn't find any data-backed conclusion of why this startup has failed so much. And it's good idea. It's good for them to start and fail, and maybe start again and see what they can improve. But always, as an entrepreneur, I try to understand why. I try to understand why this startup fails most of the time, and maybe if we can figure out, maybe help other people who are coming to create companies to not be in the same trap. And this is the point of why I we have this conversation, to help the entrepreneurs who have the dream to create a company, to get a clear picture what it is before they even engage themselves in creating a product or a company. So what do you think?
Basically, failing is part of the game, because it's good that when you look into the random ecosystem, so many people are trying to do it at an early age, which is good. You give room for failing and understand what it takes to build a successful company. So, lensing into the entire ecosystem, and trying to help. Yes, having a good idea is not enough to say that you're going to be a successful entrepreneur, because you could have a good idea and then you don't have a team and you don't have even what it takes to drive that idea into reality. So there are so many reasons why startups fail, or even small companies, and of which primarily my philosophy goes to that normally the success or the failure of a company normally is goes to the founders. It goes beyond the product or the service that they're offering. But it's being an entrepreneur. There are so many facets. There are so many characteristics that one should be having, and once you don't possess such traits, so then it means that you're gonna be in trouble. And you could imagine if you're skilled and you're working on a product that eventually is going to be profit business in few years to come. So how now do you afford to keep losing money, losing time, but by investing in that company, and
Yeah,
then in the long run? So, and one of the reasons why I was telling you that I co-founded a company that raises funding for entrepreneurs. One of the reasons, despite the personality of entrepreneurs, now there was an issue of funding. There
yeah,
are
yeah,
people who are net worthy individuals and they've got their money, but they don't really know where to put that money. So, and we haven't launched the company yet publicly, but very soon it's going to happen. But now, when you analyze, some people really need ideas. They have got the team, and then you need the funding to keep your company running, and which is totally different if we're heading in a knowledge-based economy, where now you need to have a company that's burning money, probably that you're going to have a negative cash flow for a few years. So, and then how do you keep moving despite you having a global even product? So when there is no funding,
yeah,
eventually people, your team start losing interest, and they give up, or then they move to
yeah,
where there is money, especially in corporates. And yeah, and eventually the company closes. Even the founders themselves, they end up splitting everything that they've built, and everybody decides to either get married or do whatever. So,
yeah,
and one of the reasons I would say, there are so many reasons startups fail, but part of what I would mention, one, to cut the long story short, is the founder's personality. Secondly, it's the access to funding. And then third, it's the market you're operating in. So, and so many
yeah.
other things. So, yeah, so
So you talked about the market, and you talked about the funding, and you also talked about the team. So I believe those are three pillars for startup to succeed. Um, so about funding, actually, what I've seen, like, startup, especially tech startup, really require a lot of money to invest, and sometimes Africans or Rwandans, they're not familiar with investing in a startup that is burning a lot of money. And from what I've seen, even those people who said won some angel investors, they end up not getting the money. So and at the end, what do you think caused this? Is it because the market is not there or is not ready to purchase the product? Or is it because the market is not has no trust about us building the product? Uh, but there's some few success stories, but when you consider to the number of those who tried, is just still quite low. And the access to the information is also critical. Like uh, right now, it is so hard to find where there is maybe angel investors, if there is any. There's no any way you can access the information of those high net worth people that are able to and willing to invest in a company. And I think, and that's where the services like Caleb, which you worked for, was about to help the startup to work around those issues. And there is many um, organizations trying to help the startup. And despite all those efforts, uh, you see no change. So what do you think?
Uh, you can hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. One of the of I would say one of the reasons why let's say someone has a win a context and investing is another business actually. So and when you're most entrepreneurs don't understand the language of money and how do you connect yourself with high net worth individuals. It doesn't necessarily mean that someone can be a high net worth individual to be an angel investor. Anybody can be an angel investor. If a
Yeah,
startup needs, let's say, for example, hosting fee, they need office, and then you've got that house where you can keep the startup, and then you can count that and into it's a value you're adding to the startup. You can even create, let's say, for example, you're a landlord and say, okay, you as the founders, you'll live in my house. I'm going to own 5% of your of your company. And then in the long run, after 5 years, we are going to do an exit. So all those could be potentially a terms of investment because
yeah,
so many people really need products differently. Sometimes, yes, you win a deal flow. I mean, you win a deal from an investor, and then trying to articulate to communicate the language of money becomes a problem. So and then eventually the investors lose interest because you've not been able to convince them the potential of the idea. There was
yeah,
something actually I tweeted today. I was saying that it's not the great ideas that make it successful. It's the people with great ideas and know how to communicate them. They're the ones who become successful eventually. So
yeah,
what I'm trying to say, it's good that yes, having a great idea is good, and then even knowing how to communicate your idea to the market, and the market includes the customers, investors, and other partners. So if you're really not good at communicating that, then it becomes a trouble. So part of what we're trying to solve is trying to really be between the platform for those people, let's say entrepreneurs. We've got those global products. We've got, especially for tech startups and other scalable ideas, let's say digital media. It's more how now do you articulate your idea in the best way to ensure that if you're looking for funding, people with money would understand your language and you show them the potential. So
yeah,
and even trying to train them to understand the process that involves into funding and all that. So you might ask why we've started with an angel investment. It's a first stage of investment ecosystem because you're not going to be to raise Series B or Series A when you haven't raised the angel investment. So starting with an angel investment, I think it's more of a good way to help entrepreneurs in the ecosystem again leverage and try to build really products like minimum viable products that could be on the marketplace. So and you know it's beyond having only a great idea, but I always urge entrepreneurs to always even have ability to communicate those ideas and speak the language to the
yeah,
partners depending on their interest.
absolutely. Yeah, that is a good point, actually. So, yeah, now Rwanda want to be the tech hub of Africa, and that is the vision, right? And you see like the country, around, there is Kenya, and there is Nigeria, and those are the good countries that have like vibrant ecosystem, and you see them winning a lot of funding, especially in Nigeria. Maybe that they are more advanced than us, but when you see Kenya is now, acquiring a lot of cash in terms of investment. When you look some metrics that determine that, you see they are building the products, tangible products that can scale to large number of people. And when you see the solution we have here, Rokari, they are built for Rwandans and only Rwandans. And I think that is one of the issues we have here, because like once you start a product or services, you're only thinking about your co-workers, only people, your friends, and so forth, and which sometimes limits people ability to think and even expand. So that's my opinion and what I think blocks people. But uh, according to you and your experience from Caleb, what do you think that makes or that brokers to not even scale to like our brothers from Nigeria and Kenya?
Uh, what I want to clarify, Rwanda is a small market itself. So building a product only targeting this market, you cannot even try to be profitable as long as it requires a capital. It's a capital intensive company, especially tech startups really consume a lot of money. So I think we really need, those are the mature ecosystems. So when you see Kenya is a very big educated market, and then when you go to Nigeria, it's a very big market, whether educated or not educated, or whatever product you're trying to build, there is always a sector that you can target and reap huge benefits. And as well, what we really need in our Rwandan ecosystem, the government has really is trying to set up policies, and we really need few guys who are going to do it. They scale it, they sell their product to the global market, and then the youngsters will say, okay, now this is possible. If so and so is a Rwandan can build a product as in Rwanda and scale it to other markets, raise a lot of money, then it means it's very possible to us. So we need really guys who can do that. And part of the challenges we've got, we don't have proven mentors, because when you try to see the entrepreneurs in the tech ecosystem, most of them don't have proven mentors in an ecosystem that are really qualified. Those that are mentoring startup companies are the people who are employed, so they have their stable salaries. And or having a startup itself, even working in a startup, is like a war. So not even an ability. The ecosystem itself is okay. The market could scale as long as you're trying. I always tell people that the formula to build a product here, it's more of, you try to consider Rwanda as a testing market. You test you build your product, you test it, and then afterwards you scale into other markets with a really good product market fit. What I would say, there are so many challenges you're having because this is a new industry and this is a new ecosystem. When you don't have mentors, when you don't have investors, obviously it's so hard for you. You have less chances to make it compared to other entrepreneurs doing the same thing that you're trying to do in well-established markets. So the aspect of having a few mentors itself is really an issue. And the only way I think we're going to solve this issue is more of having people, entrepreneurs that are going to scale their products to the global market, and then they become mentors to the young generation that is coming up. So with that, it's a matter of time. Having a really well-established ecosystem takes time, and when you try to compare these markets, they are really well established. But this is not an excuse. We've also got some advantages that favor us. So we really need to put our feet together, our energy together, and try as well to be global. Thank you very much.
So it is raining here. I don't know if you will hear me, but it is it is quite noisy here because there is a rain. Yeah, it is so noisy because It is raining. Mm, yeah. Can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me? Hello? Cannot hear you. Yeah, so another things I wanted to talk about is like, what do you think about the community we have? Like, because one thing I've learned during the product development is having the people and the community that can uh, help you to grow, you know. And the community can be your customers, but also beyond the customers, the people who can be your champions, the people who can be your marketers, free marketers. But what I've seen here is that entrepreneurs ourselves, we don't understand that we need each other, right? I see you creating a product, and I don't want to be your customer, right? And I don't want to even give you the right feedback that can help you to improve. Or if I give you the feedback, then you will not understand it as a feedback. You will understand it as something that is against you. And I've seen these parishes around among entrepreneurs, some of them, not all of them. And I strongly believe, like when I see the data from other countries, why their products reach to certain level is because they have managed to build a community around the product, and the community can take the product from there. So I wanted to understand your opinion about that. You are muted. Yeah, you are muted. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for asking an interesting question. When you're trying to really see the companies or other startups all over the globe that have tried to reach to a certain promising level, there are so many different aspects. We mentioned about funding, but also there is an issue we have in our community of human capital. Let's say, for example, tech startups. Yes, there are so many good programmers, though there is also a small number. But then you're building a product, but nobody knows about your product. So you need to have evangelists. You need to have people that are in your team that you've recruited. Actually, it's good that when you're founding a company, it's good to consider having someone who is a salesperson, and it's preferably good that that person is automatically a CEO. This is a person who goes in front of people, explain them the product, pushing the team to build the product, understands a little bit of communication, either to the partners, to the communities, and all that. So such energy, one of the reasons why startups really here locally fail, it's two programmers who are good building a product, but they don't really know how to communicate it to the outside market, like
Yeah,
to the people. So really that drains much energy. And then again, you realize that it's to really bring someone in the team who is going to be a marketeer of that product and is not getting paid. We have even an issue of talent locally. How many people can try to market tech solutions? Very few, even if they are university graduate. So we
yeah,
really need to have a community of these people that did finance, economics, marketing, communication, try to understand how the tech world works and how to take the tech product to the market. So once such communities are well established, you don't really necessarily need to be a programmer, but you need to understand the entire ecosystem of building a product from scratch to when it's to the market, and then the value you could explain it to the clients. So if you're a technical person and then don't know how to express yourself, remember what I said. It's not about a great idea. It's about a great idea with someone who know how to greatly communicate that idea. You see.
Yeah,
So if you really
absolutely.
can't communicate, yeah. So that's an issue. So we need to really bring in our tech world, in our tech ecosystem in Rwanda, people who have a liberal arts academic background and try to embed them and make them understand this
So
product to ensure that
do you
these
think
products are well
education
really.
do you think education has anything to do with changing that reality we have now?
I think I no longer claim education except like 5, 6 years back. Now we've got internet, which is cheaper compared to even these countries in Nigeria or Kenya that where startups are raising a lot of money. So now once you have internet, which is affordable, I would not say cheaper, which is affordable, it means it's no longer an excuse. So whoever has an excuse of education, I can blame themselves. You have internet at school, there is Wi-Fi, there are labs. It goes more of the enthusiasm, the passion, and the willingness to learn what you're not taught at school.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I no longer also blame education because, like, I've seen people who studied in a good education system, such as America, and no, and they come back to Rwanda, and just because they studied in America, they have these expectation you expect from them. But when you go to compare to the Rwandan who sat and put his head around and study, self-teach, self-taught, programmer, for example, you see no difference. Expect like what happened? Yeah. So now you try to compare these people, like the one who started abroad, someone who never left the country but who wanted to study something, and you see no change, right? And but uh, it doesn't mean that the education is is perfect. We still have I think there is still a lot of things to be done, but I also think that education is something like everyone can work on. And if you want to know something, there's no limit because the internet is there. But also, you talked about the people willing to put some efforts. And that's something I've seen people not willing to do because it is painful, right? It requires a lot of sacrifice. And sometimes people are not willing to give that sacrifice to spend nights and nights running something. And and something I also realized, even though if you try to give internship to people and you train them according to how you think uh, you can be better, they will fight you back because they don't want to be, pass through this pain. So I don't know about your experience about dealing with people, uh, trying to raise the standard to the point where they can be competitive. So I want to have your opinion about that because I know my personally, I tried working with many people, many programmers, many business people, and the first 2 months they are doing well. Then the third month, then they start to shrink, and when I try to understand why, sometimes it's because people are not willing to learn. So what do you think? You are muted.
I was saying when with talent you need to keep pushing till you make it. So I understand, yeah, the culture doesn't allow people to do their best, but people really are used of. Uh, and I hope nobody takes it as an offense. People are used of having three free things. You get paid much, and which doesn't resonate to how much work you've done or the value you've brought. So in the part of learning process, it's more about companies trying to establish the fellowship program and try to identify talent, and then have a selection criteria which is so tough, and then invest in those people. Because at the end of the day, investing in your staff really brings returns of investment. Though most of the founders fear that if you invest in someone and then they leave, what happens? And then I always ask, but if you don't invest in them and then they stay, what happens? You keep losing. So it's always good that founders as well understand that it's good to invest in founders, and you don't just give people employment contracts from day one. You need to vet them. They need to go through a process to the extent by the time you're hiring someone on a full-time basis, they are really credible enough. They can even run your company without you being there
Yeah.
because they've gone through a very hard test, like in the military. Otherwise, if you bring people, they come today and tomorrow they are leaving, you bring in more people. It even goes for you to frustrate because you're not an HR company. Your job is not to hire, your job is to build a product. So, building an HR efficiency system, it goes more of how now do you borrow ideas from the military to or other well-established institutions, let's say like or the Catholic Church, the Jehovah Witness, the Seventh Day Adventist. For you really to really be able to reach to the altar, you really need to have gone through a process. You don't just appear on day one and then you start making it. No, it's more of how do you promote people with the credibility, and it even goes beyond academic qualifications. It goes beyond the willingness to learn and to challenge yourself to always learn new things that are beyond even what you've been learned at. Normally, school, I think it's more of they really tell you this is what you should be doing, these are the languages you should be learning to give you the foundation, and the rest of it, it's you doing that. So, what I would like really to communicate is that there is nothing that can replace time, because to really be skilled, you need to put in your time, you need to put in your commitment. And for the founders to really know how to best know who is the best candidate, it's more
Mhm.
of really establishing a hiring tough system, even if it's internship, even if it's anything. Like for me, there is nobody like people who come to work in the companies that I'm involved in, they need to fast pay, because you're going to pay us for us to teach you, to give you skills, we're going to give you experience, and then we can pay you back when you really start find that it's really credible enough. So there has to be a commitment, because this ecosystem, people are used of only having free things. Even an intern that comes in my office, they need to pay on a monthly basis for the next 6 months or 3 months. And then if they've proven that they are really can sustain themselves in the company, they've brought value to the company, they're hired permanently with a good pay. But they really need to have some skin in the game for people, because I don't bring you for free. If I bring you from first day, and part of my strategy is go establish talent that is not experienced, I invest in them, but they make sure that they pay me for me to give them my skills and to show them how things is done. So otherwise, really need to be aggressive as startup founders and establish efficient hiring system.
Yeah.
Because even at the end of the day, at the beginning, you realize that a company doesn't need too many people, depending on the product you're selling.
Yeah, you
So
don't.
at
You don't.
whatever stage you find there is a company that is employing, yeah, there is a company that employs 12 people, yet in actual sense they need four, which means what's other eight people doing?
Yeah.
So it's really quite insane that people really need to understand it takes time, whether it's someone starting a career or it's an entrepreneur. So building an efficient team, it's you have to understand the concept of time. It's nothing that we cannot do anything about it.
Yeah. I think that is a good conversation, by the way, because like if the ecosystem can create a hiring uh, process that is conventional and that is so serious enough to know that it's not a joke to join a company X, and we create that environment where people know that they need to work. Because as you said, people are used to free stuff, and sometimes these things go into our brain, and we are used to that, and it is not a surprise to see people like a young Rwandan at age of 28 still living um, with his parents, and that is the same mindset of free staff, right? So I think if we can create the strong ecosystem where the hiring process is tough, people will start to realize that they need to have the skills, the right skills that is needed on the market. And yeah, that was a good point. Yeah. So yeah, 30 minutes was all we had. I wish we can have more conversation like this, and I
No,
hope that
you
we
could,
can
but
build
it's okay.
a lot of. Yes.
No, it's okay. This is the way it starts. When you're building an ecosystem,
Yeah.
and building an ecosystem, really, it takes a lot of people, but it's about people. And once people are there, then it means and people with different skill set. It starts this way. You when you try to go talk to other people for to hear their perspective, there are other people trying to do cool things out here. Talk to them, start uploading those things, and it's this is how the community is going to start. So I think I encourage you to keep doing this initiative, and thanks for approaching me. And I don't know what you based on by considering me, and I really
I hope next
appreciate
time you will come
your
again, because like,
yeah,
uh,
well, anytime you invite me, obviously I will come. And you know,
yeah, yeah,
I'm a person who's passionate about contributing to the ecosystem and trying to express myself to the best of my ability. So, really,
yeah.
anytime I'm invited, I will make it.
Yeah, I strongly believe that the only thing that this ecosystem needs is the people who are enthusiasts, but also who are practitioners, who are not just talkers or politicians, but we need those people who can have the product, be able to create an ecosystem around it, and that's where we can have true founders, true ecosystem that doesn't depend on anything else other than entrepreneurship. So, and I think it's a nice thing if we can have a lot of people share their success stories, how they achieved something, and how we can learn from them. Because even including myself, like at the beginning, I didn't think that that was the right way to do things, like communicating to people, um, engaging with people, because at some point, someone has something he can teach you. You need to learn from anyone, regardless of his size and
Yeah,
so
even
forth.
the cleaner of the company, even the cleaner of the company.
Yeah, yeah. And this is the reason.
Yeah. I was saying, even the cleaner of the company, there is always something you can learn from them.
Yeah, yeah. So when you see the success stories
Yeah.
of other
Thanks,
companies,
Richard. Thanks for
yeah. Thank you. See you next time.
thank you, Richard.
Yeah.